Hey y'all. 100th show. I'm so proud of you ladies. Good job. I would love to dedicate this reading to my friends Alice Alsup and Jeff Hunter, who passed away 3 years ago. There are some things you do your best to forget. You push them down into the back of your mind, and they eventually work themselves free, and you are stuck with them rattling around and tainting your usual sense of normalcy. Some people get hung up with an ex-lover. Other people can't ever forget a game-winning shot that failed, or a piece of financial information that you failed to act upon. It happens to all of us. For me today, happened at the train station in New York. Just a train came barreling past, I thought of him. The kid was in high school. He was dealing with high school things. Bad grades, bad complexion, bad friends, bad family life. But when you're young, you don't see things and how they can change. Maybe you blossom in college. Maybe you meet someone special that reassures you that you're loved and matter. Instead, youth, with its infinite possibilities, tends to get trapped with immediate present. Years fly by when you're 60. Just a couple months can grind you into splinters when you're 17. It was spring. It was a nice morning. He should have been walking to school and thinking about summer or trying to make plans to meet girls downtown. Instead, he went to Burlington Northern train tracks. I have no idea if he even thought about what he was doing. No one ever will. Did he chicken out at the minute a few times before? How many times that he watched an express train blaze past before he knew today was his day? Did he realize the permanence? And then he stepped forward. Whatever it was that brought him to the tracks, it was over now. These things happen. They shouldn't, but they do. I've written up dozens of stories about people killing themselves. I've known a few friends who have had taken their lives either on accident or on purpose. But this one was brutal. You see, his father worked for the rail yard. It was his father's job to investigate all the train accidents. He was the first one on the scene from the rail yard, for the railroad. I'm pretty sure he did not know it was his son's body who would be looking at him until he got there. I know his son knew what would happen. It had to have been planned that way. It took me a while to figure out the connection. The last name was common, but from the reaction of the other guys at the scene tipped me off that something unusual happened. I remember an older, heavy-set man with a gin blossom nose and tears running down his face, pulling me aside and telling me, and the father was just sitting in the back of the white Ford Taurus, staring blankly out the window. When I got back to the office, I wrote the story two ways. The first version highlighted the connection to the railroad. The second one did not mention it. I went to lunch. I sat on it all day. I knew if I mentioned the father and son connection, they would want it high up in the story. It would probably be the second paragraph. Other papers would pick it up off the AP wire. The television guys would talk about it for days. People would want me to interview this family simply because some other asshole wanted to interview his family. You see this a lot. Tragedy hits, victims are interviewed. Normally, private lives are made public. The media chase the story until they run out of painful, embarrassing details to keep a sick-minded public's attention. But I can't live that way. I don't see the point in piling on misery when someone hits the lowest point they will ever see. So I never mentioned it to anyone. I had not thought about it for years until that day. Today. I was simply just standing there today at the Newark airport station, trying to catch a plane back to Houston, waiting for a phone call from a friend. Now this is just rattling around, and it's bumped into almost everything I've done today since that train thundered along. It will fade again, but it will never really leave. These things have a way of popping back up. And I just want to remind each and every one of y'all that you are beautiful, and you are strong, And I know things can get tough and we can feel defeated and scared, especially the way the world is going. It's going to shit. But there is a community and there is one person that will show you the light in the dark, okay? All right, much love. Thank you.